Good afternoon, all. Good morning or good evening for the rest of the world. I believe we are in session number 1. Is it Smart Cities, Dr. Hanadi? Just to confirm about the session and the guests for the roundtable, I believe we have, let me just double check the calendar. All right, yes, we have the smart cities, infrastructure, reimagining the urban life. I believe we have Dr. Sabih, we have also Nico Fikuma, and we have Nico Fikuma from Japan. I hope that I pronounced it correctly. Professor Nico. You are the director from JSPS Cairo Research Station. Is Professor Nyuko available?
Yes, I am here. Hello.
Welcome to our session. And I need also to say hi to Dr. Sabih Khaisuf from IC Council member for Africa and Middle East, Hyperloop TT Infrastructure Lead MENA region.
صبيح قاطع خصاف.
صبيح خطاب.
خصاف.
أهلا وسهلا. خصاف.
أيوة.
أهلا وسهلا.
يا هلا بك.
We will start our session today with Professor Nyuko. Did I pronounce it correctly?
Yes, Naoko. Yes.
Naoko. All right, Professor Naoko. It's my honor to have this roundtable. It's my honor to have you here at this conference, and you can share your screen by clicking at the bottom. You can share your presentation and start your time, and be aware that I will record any recommendation that you will present it in my notes.
My screen?
Yes, I can see your screen. All right, everything is clear. Be aware that I will record your recommendation after your presentation. After the closing of the roundtable, I will put it in the recommendation for this conference. Please, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you so much, Professor Hassan. I'm Naoko Fukami. I'm from JSPS office in Cairo. JSPS is the Japan Society for the Promotion of Science. It is a funding agency under the government of Japan. And actually, I am architectural historian and urban historian, but not appropriate to speak about smart cities and infrastructure. But from my point, I want to say something towards the smart cities and infrastructure today. So, okay. So, what is smart city? A smart city is an urban area that leverages digital technology to optimize city infrastructure, facilities, and operations, aiming to enhance the convenience and comfort of business and residents. And another one said, a smart city refers to sustainable, environmentally friendly urban areas that utilizes advanced technologies such as ICT and AI to efficiently organize and manage infrastructures like energy, transportation systems, and administrative services. What is the purpose of a smart city? The goal of smart city is to solve urban problems and create a livable environment for the residents. As a researcher in architecture history and urban history, I am currently studying the urban history of Cairo. how can we use advanced technology to solve problems in historic Cairo and create two revamped cities? So we have many issues in historic Cairo. Coordination between different administrative bodies, such as Cairo Municipality, the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities, the Ministry of Culture, and Ministry of OGAF, is not functioned well. The Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities aims for restoration focused solely on registered cultural properties and is reluctant to promote heritage utilization. The Urban Development Fund, established directly under the Prime Minister in 2021, often carries out development through a scrap and build approach. This method disrupts the city's fabric and, while traditional in practice, raises concerns about its sustainability for historic cities. We have water and electricity infrastructure problems. Rising groundwater levels are damaging historical buildings. Due to extremely low rainfall, the sewer system is inadequate for handling occasional concentrated rainfall, leading to road drainage issues. Additionally, aging water and sewage pipelines present further challenges. Also in electricity infrastructure, aging and ad hoc repairs increase the risk of accidents. There is no provision for city gas, and LPG is used as a substitute. We have a transportation infrastructure, also it's a problem. Narrow, winding historic streets are frequently by modern commercial trucks, tuk-tuks, and private cars, making pedestrian traffic difficult and sometimes resulting in accidents. Additionally, traditional cafes, storefronts, and workshops encroach on the streets, adding to congestion. To preserve the historic city layout, it's essential to make efficient use of these narrow winding roads, possibly by implementing timed traffic restrictions or small-scale public transport solutions. For the public spaces, traditional cafes are mainly used by men only. Before the pandemic corona, mosques served as a gathering places, but most now remain closed outside of prayer times. Women's public spaces are limited to small squares in front of schools where they drop off and pick up children or clubs that children attend, excluding low-income women. Without parks, children often play in the streets, which are unsafe due to traffic. As public spaces are closely tied to community, the community's presence is diminishing. There used to be associations similar to guilds, but they no longer function. For the housing and education, the poor live in makeshift buildings on large plots owned by Ministry of OGAF, with poor or in private poor sanitation. Many lower middle income people live in low-rise apartments built by the government in the 1960s, or in private 8-story apartments developed since the 1980s. Only a few middle and upper income individuals reside here, very small number. There is no website to provide information to people attracted to the historic city's charm who wish to relocate here, with real estate information primarily spread by word of mouth. For the education, large estates were converted into public elementary and middle schools during the Nasser era, but many are closed. And the disaster prevention and health sanitation, fires caused by the deteriorating electrical wiring often occur, sometimes affecting abandoned historic buildings. There are no hydrants or firefighting systems adapted to the narrow streets, and fire prevention relies on private efforts. Rare earthquakes serve as a reason to demolish deteriorated buildings, registered as dangerous by the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities. Earthquake-resistant methods suited for historic districts should be adapted for earthquake preparedness. And waste collection is insufficient, and stray dogs and cats are not managed, leading to issues like the falling and scavenging. There is little awareness of waste management, with no sorting, frequent littering, and unsanitary road conditions due to the smell of rotting food waste. For the tourism, recent development by Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities have made several monuments beyond the well-known Almuiz Street accessible for a fee. However, there is little information for visitors, and the traditional method of guided tours by licensed professionals remains common. Monuments that are not open to the public are often locked and not well maintained. Efforts to preserve streetscapes remain limited, with significant room for improvement. Due to low public awareness, residents have not yet taken steps to participate in the maintenance and management of heritage sites. A critical approach to integrating IT and AI within the context of historic city preservation. Here is a breakdown of 6 keys and how they might address practical challenges in historic urban areas like Cairo. The first one is digitalization of building information. By digitally recording the data, such as building age, number of floors, ownerships, function, household numbers, and resident, city planners and preservationists gain a comprehensive real-time overview of the city physical and social makeup. This can improve the decision-making by clearly identifying the high-priority structures, at-risk buildings, and areas where urban density or degradation may pose risks. And the second one is enhanced understanding of issues. With personal data collected responsibly and ethically, this system could improve insight into social economic challenges, such as overcrowding, aging infrastructure, and public health needs within dense urban areas. Mapping this data geospatially could also reveal spatial patterns that correlate with these issues, which might otherwise remain obscure. And also we can find historic information. It adds the values of historic city. And the third is facilitating SDGs. This approach supports the sustainable development goals by aligning urban preservation with targets for sustainable cities and communities, and promoting an innovation in infrastructure, Goal 9. It would also contribute to reducing the inequalities, Goal 10. If data is used to improve resources and infrastructure in underserved areas, And our community-centered revitalization of Souk Siraha in Cairo is under the canopy of UNESCO, and there is a 4, 8, 10, 11, 17 is connected to the SDG goals. The fourth is a problem identification and AI. AI can be used to analyze data, identify recurring issues, such as structural vulnerabilities or areas at high risk of deterioration. For example, AI could predict where building materials might fail due to age or environmental stressors, allowing for primitive maintenance. And the fifth is practical solution and historic preservation. Integrating IT and AI in historic preservation does raise the question of how these technologies translate into concrete solutions. For instance, insights gained from data analysis could inform policies for pedestrianizing specific streets to reduce vehicle-induced vibrations near fragile structures or optimizing tourist flows to minimize wear on vulnerable sites. The sixth is balancing privacy with data collection. The collection of personal data is sensitive, particularly in historic areas where residents may be aware of surveillance. A transparent approach focusing on aggregated data rather than individual tracking would be crucial, emphasizing that the data collection is the communal benefits, like infrastructure improvement, preservation, and enhanced safety may help build trust with residents. This digital approach could thus offer a structured, proactive model for preserving historic cities by blending traditional preservation practices with smart cities innovation. Kyoto in Japan has been a fascinating example of smart city transformation, balancing modern technology with its rich cultural heritage. Here are some key aspects of its approach. The first one is smart tourism and crowd management. Second one, the data-driven urban planning. The third is environment sustainability. The fourth is cultural preservation through technology. These efforts make Kyoto a prominent model of how technology can enhance city life and tourism while preserving cultural and environmental values. Thank you for your listening.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor. You shared about government integration. In addition to, you shared information about how electrical and water infrastructure, in addition to the utilization of transportation infrastructure, the housing and education infrastructure. You also give us information about building, information design, understanding issues, utilization of technology, predict solution as part of the smart cities, balancing data privacy, which is very, very important, Professor, between balancing privacy of the information and utilization of data. In addition, which is globally focused now about the environmental aspects for energy transition, energy or environmental sustainability, and how it is important for utilization of technology and AI, in addition for the innovators to use those type of technology to build us a smart city in the world. Thank you, Professor, for your insightful presentation. and
Thank
speak.
you, Dr. Hassan. I am, as I said, I am not a specialist for AI or IT, but from my side, I can point the problems. And if the AI and IT can solve the problem, it will be very happy. And it will be a new future Cairo, historic Cairo. Thank you so much.
You really pointed to the many important factors within your speak. Thank you very much, and please have you in the session in the round table after Dr. Sabih. Dr. Sabih, welcome to this session and this talk. I'm really honored to have you in this round table, and I'm pleased to invite you to this conference. And of course, it's a special thanks to Dr. Hanadi for gathering us here in this conference with a huge effort provided by Dr. Hanadi and the ecosystem environments she provided in this conference, how we are integrated to provide a useful information across all over the world. Dr. Sabih, floor is yours. Please share your screen. You have your time, and I will be here recording the insightful information that you will provide.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hassan. And I agree with Dr. Hanadi. She's a dynamo of these events. And, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak my second time on this event. It's my pleasure. Let me see if I can manage I try to share my screen. Can you see it?
I believe it's transferring now. Yes, we can see it. You can click the full screen view, and floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good day, everyone. I can't say morning or afternoon. I'm sure people joining from around the globe.
Hi, Professor. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you very much, Doctor. It's a pleasure to hear you and be with you.
Professor, your voice, your mic.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Dr. Hanadi. We can hear Professor or Dr. Sabih. His voice is clear.
If you, I can't take my headphones, but it's worse. Make it worse. If you, Dr. Hassan, if you hear me, that's good.
Yeah, I can hear you. Maybe the problem
your mic
from Dr. Hanadi. Dr. Hanadi, can you hear me? Dr. Hanadi, I will call her. Don't worry.
Hi, Dr. Hassan.
Hi. I believe we can hear Dr. Sabih.
Yes. Hi. The problem is from me. I'm muting myself.
Yeah, all right.
I'm so sorry. Before you start, Professor Sabih, he is from ICE. He reaching, I think, the position of Vice President in ICE. ICE, it is Institutions of Civil Engineering in the United Kingdom. This institution is one of the oldest institutions about the civil engineering in the world. Maybe the age, as they mentioned for me before, 200 years. I'm the first member from the Middle East joining ICE since 1992. This is just, I call it for, I need everybody knowing for the history. I'm the first person who is initiate the ICE in the Middle East, and also be a member with them since 1992, and the record is there. And in 2006, I met the president of ICE, and I deliver a speech with him and discussion for a future collaboration. Today, in the previous week, Kuwait University and ICE have a collaboration, a new collaboration, and doing some student chapter or some collaboration with the student in College of Engineering. But they miss this information about me. I'm the first person from the Middle East who be associated or be member till today with ICE. More welcome, Professor Sabih. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hanadi, and we are proud of you. You are a valuable member of the Institution of Civil Engineers. Yes, the Institution of Civil Engineers is one of the oldest professional institutions in the world, founded 1818. and we are very close to the Houses of Parliament in London. Today, I will be speaking about resilience and sustainable transportation system for resilience and transport and cities. Let's see. Okay, as Dr. Hanadi and Dr. Hassan said, my name is Sabi Kisaf. I'm visiting professor at Heriot-Watt University. I'm also helping other UK universities in the Middle East. I'm a member of the Institution of Civil Engineering. I'm fellow of the Institution of Civil Engineering, follow the Highways and Transportation and Charter Management Institute. I used to be for 3 years the IC Council Vice President for International. Currently, I'm the IEC Council member for Middle East and Africa. My day job, I work for Hyperloop Transportation Technology. For me, London is home, but I've been in the region, in the UAE specifically since 2007. I worked on a number of projects in the Middle East, in Abu Dhabi Khalifa Port Industrial Zone, Abu Dhabi Integrated Public Transport Network System, Doha Metro, Dubai Metro, and since 2016, I'm with the Hyperloop Transportation Technology. I will speak about the technology at the end of my presentation, but for today, I'll be just doing a brief introduction and definition, and then we talk about UN Sustainability Goals, what they mean, what they are, and resilience and sustainability in transportation. Transportation is the backbone of any society, and without resilience and sustainable transport, society will not develop. Then I will speak about strategies for building resilience and sustainable transport system. Without strategy, we will not be able to implement anything in life, and transportation is one of the aspects of civilization, any society. I will give some examples of successful implementation of resilience and sustainable transport systems, and will give examples from our region, from the GCC, and from around the globe to show how cities can implement sustainable, resilient transport system. And then at the end of the presentation, I'll explain, give some details about the resilient and sustainable transport system of the future, which is the Hyperloop. And then I'm more than happy to take questions or leave it to Dr. Hassan to decide. When we talk about sustainability, it's in reality, we've been talking about sustainability recently, but in reality, sustainability been with us since 1987. And it's defined in the United Nations as meeting the needs of present without compromising the ability of future generation. Basically, we cannot continue doing what we're doing without thinking of the next generation. Resilience in the context of risk management, resilience is defined as a system ability to continue functioning at an acceptable level efficiently in the face of disruption or unexpected condition. We know, and we faced in different parts of the world, and recently in Spain, when we faced with natural disaster or climate change, the system has to be resilient to continue functioning, or at least for a short period, and then we continue working. Talking about the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, most of the people on this call are aware and know about the United Nations 17 goals. I'm not going to dwell on them because everyone knows them, but I will, explain and dig deeper in the goals that related to sustainable cities and communities and sustainable transportation system. We know goal number 11 states that make cities and human settlement inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. Our cities, if they are not sustainable, it means we will not be able to continue building as we do to date. And then it has to be inclusive. It has to accommodate everyone's needs and safe for everyone. And I talked about sustainability. And we talk about one of the goals 11 is the sustainable transport in any cities. The role of transport in sustainable development was first recognized in 1992 by the United Nations Earth Summit and reinforced in its outcome document in Agenda 21. Basically, as I said, without a resilient transport system, we cannot call our cities as resilient. And if we talk about resilience from the transport point of view, what we mean? Transport refers to the ability of the transport system to withstand and quickly recover from disruption, such as natural disaster, economic shifts, or technological advancement. We know, I live in Dubai, and we had the flooding, and Dubai demonstrated its resilience basically within days. The city back working normal. The same happened in other GCC capitals. That demonstrates that the GCC countries, GCC capitals are building the cities to be resilient and sustainable. When we talk about sustainability encompasses economical, environmental, and social dimension. And also for those who not based on UAE, in the UAE, Abu Dhabi, Istidama, they add the fourth pillar of sustainability is culture. You cannot talk about sustainability without taking consideration the culture of the city, the culture of the nation. And focus on minimizing negative impact while promoting equity and accessibility for all users. We cannot talk about sustainable, resilient transport system if not accommodate all the needs. Everyone needs people, who need the transport system. It has to accommodate. It has to be safe for everyone. Resilience and sustainable transport system and to enhance mobility, reduce carbon footprints, and increase the adaptability of urban environment. When I came in this part of the world from London, working for London Underground, I came to Abu Dhabi, Dubai. Basically, the public transport non-existent. The closest to a public transport was a taxi, which is where private taxi owned by individual. And look what happened in all the GCC capitals. And I will give examples on how public transport system being implemented in a very short period. And therefore, we have to have, a transport system that take people from their cars and put them on public transport, but also give them the option if they need to use their cars. The principles of resilient and sustainable transport system, the first one is multimodal integration. You have to take in consideration all the available mean of transportation for you to make your system resilient and accessible to everyone. And therefore, if we talk about resilience and integrated system, it has to accommodate the first and last mile. Accessibility and equity. From the accessibility point of view, everyone should be able to use it anytime, whenever they want. That's a resilient and sustainable transport system. And also equitable. Basically, we cannot, price some part of society out of the public transport, and therefore we should have an accessible and equitable transport system. When you talk about public transport, it has to be community-centric. It has to be to take in consideration the need, and more specifically, when we implement this system, we have to have a strategy that will minimize the effect on the communities. Yes, they will benefit from the public transport in the future, but in the short term, we have to make it possible for them to continue their life with minimum disruption. Environmental stewardship, again, we have to implement transport system that has and should have low emission. And we should consider all alternative transport system available for us. And we have to have an infrastructure that accommodate a future technology enhancement. We talked about what we want and how the transport should look like, but then in order to implement it, you need a strategy. Without strategy, without vision, and without leadership, you will not be able to implement any transport system. And again, I will give the example of Dubai. Basically, when Dubai built the first metro in the Middle East, everyone basically laughing, who's going to use the metro in Dubai? Now Dubai reached the maximum ridership 5 years ahead of its time. The properties around the metro system are 25 to 35% more expensive than away from the system. And therefore, basically, if you invest in transport system, people will come and use it. Active transportation infrastructure. Again, when we think of transportation, sometimes people think of cars, trains, and so on. But in reality, an integrated public transport system should accommodate walking, cycling, in order to have accessibility for first and last mile, and also not just providing walking and cycling, but has to be safe for people to use it. Smart technology integration. We know our traditional transport systems still rely on old systems, and therefore, if we're going to implement the smart technology, has to take in consideration the current situation, plus we should be able to accommodate any future technology. It's either for highways, for roads, for bridges, and also for cars. One of the biggest issues we're facing is the charging points for future electric cars. Resilience in design. When we design our system, it has to be resilient. It has to be able to take any changes in the environment or economic changes. Also, if we are in an area where there is flooding, it has to be resilience to flooding or earthquake. The economy play a big role in implementing any resilient transport system. And therefore, we should have strategies, economic incentives for and policies to encourage the private sector, and the policymaker should considering like the mechanism to fund transportation systems. And we know very well that transport systems basically are born to expensive, but and will not recover the capital cost. And therefore, we have to think of ways working with the private sector. Examples of sustainable systems. Amsterdam is one of the cities, its most walking, cycling friendly cities in the world. And it's basically been working on implementing walking and cycling strategy that allow people to use their cars, but also for people to use the shared bikes and walk. Dubai Expo. When Dubai won the Expo 2020, people thought we in the Middle East will not be able to, organize big events. But Dubai Expo was the most successful expo in the history of expos, and it's provided a transport system that accommodates the needs of everyone. Another city which is example of transport system is the Cortuba in Brazil. And they have a system which basically BR system that allow the implementation of less expensive option to implement system will cater for short-term needs, but could be expanded in the future. Now, when we talk about the future of transport system, as I said, the Hyperloop. What is the Hyperloop? And the Hyperloop is as a technology is not something new. It's been in the concept of transporting people in a tube is old, but the new technology is in vacuum tube. And it's, in a nutshell, basically it's a capsule inside a vacuum tube, levitating and speeding
Doctor,
at 1200 kilometers.
Would you like to take a break and just take water? Okay, don't worry. It's okay.
I have sometimes issue with my throat.
That's okay.
Nothing to do with throat, yeah.
Thank you, Professor.
Yeah, it's basically, you have two vacuum tubes with a capsule, two capsules going different ways. And the capsule can accommodate between 28 and 50 passengers. And the way the system works is basically for us who work in the railway system in order to have a transport system, at grade or elevated. For railway system, there are two friction you have to overcome. It's one, the wheel track friction, and the other one is air friction. And with the Hyperloop being levitating and a vacuum, we get rid of these friction and we can go at faster speed. And this is a typical picture of how Hyperloop capsule looks like. One thing which I didn't mention in previous slide is basically the system will be able to generate electricity more than it's needed to operate the system. That make it most efficient and sustainable. The system is high speed, efficient, safe, and the reason for safe because any system, a transport system, 70% of accident caused by outside intervention of human error. With the Hyperloop in its own dedicated way, basically we eliminate all potential accident. Sustainable, use less electricity than is needed and generate more electricity. Frictionless, basically there is no interaction with any other systems at the same level. Profitable. We've done a number of feasibility studies and all demonstrated that basically the system can pay for itself, and the ability of the system to be flexible for both passenger and freight. And how Hyperloop technology in line with the UN sustainability goals. Number 7 is ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all, because of the energy we generate more than we use. Goal number 9, build a resilient infrastructure, promote sustainable industrialization, and foster innovation. Goal number 11, make cities inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. And goal number 13, take urgent action to combat climate and its impact. And 17, strengthening the means of implementation and revitalization of global partnership, sustainable development. And this coming from the way we, the business model we proposing is basically work with local authorities, with local partners in the countries where we're going to implement the system. And with this, thank you very much indeed. I'm happy to take any questions, or I leave it to Dr. Hassan to decide.
Thank you, Dr. Sabih. You shared many items. Let me summarize your speech. You started with the history of sustainability and the resilience. And as per my definition, the resilience is the function during crisis, which is really important. You also highlighted the UN goals for the sustainability and the resilience. I will talk about the poverty in a while, and one of the items, how the technology and the smart city help the poverty in the world. I will provide you with one slide talk. You talk about goal number 11, and specifically about the inclusion. And also in my slides, I will provide how inclusion supports poverty life, and in addition to utilize that within smart cities. You also talk about transportation. You focus on the transportation. As you mentioned, transportation is the boon for energy transition or infrastructure for any smart cities. As an example, you give us what happened in Dubai during floods and how they did recover as a resilient within days. You also talked about the principles for sustainability and resilience, multi-models integration. You talk about the accessibility and the equity. You talk also about the community life, about how they need to be focused for the community and targeted what they need. Also, you give also highlighted to the environmentally friendly aspect as one of the principles. And later in the next stage, you talk about the strategy to implement the smart city within transportation, and you give us a good example factor of why we need a capital investors to invest in the smart cities transportation, and what is the implication for that. Especially one of the also strategies to be active for transportation infrastructure and to be safe, available for everybody. I believe you also mentioned the safe cross and using bikes within cities to be accessible. You also talk about the technology and how smart of utilization of the integration of the technology during the design of the smart city. Resilience design, which you need to manage the risk of any crisis, and you need to highlight it within your design for infrastructure. Also, the impact of a huge capital investment and the impact for the economy itself. And this is one of the factors of the strategy. That's why we need investor from private sector. You give us a lot of examples of implementation of sustainability and resilience within transportation. One of them is Amsterdam. And by the way, the last travel to my Amsterdam, I used the bike all the way during my visit to Amsterdam. Also, you highlighted the Doha World Cup, Dubai Expo 2020, Tokyo City, and Brazil Public Price Station or transportation there. And then you talk about the technology, Hyperloops, and the utilization for that technology, how this technology, I will start with the goal of that technology, which is a frictionless utilization of frictionless, which give us the profitability, which reduces the friction and the energy to mobilize the equipment from place to place, saving costs, saving energy, environmental friendly, safe for the incident, and of course, profitable as an economy or investment for infrastructure of course. Also, you highlighted number of highlighted goals. And if you can allow me, can you go back, Doctor, to the slides for the goal, number 7, 9, 11, 13, and 17. If you can, again, share that important slide, which I will put it as one of the recommendations to focus on in this conference for the smart city. I would like just to highlight those goals. Goals number 7, really across to be affordable and reliable and sustainable for modern energy for all. And thank you, Doctor, for this highlighting the goals. Goals number 9, building resilient infrastructure, which also talk about it during your examples. 11, make the city inclusive. And 13, the urgent action to be compete with the climate change. And everybody are suffering from the climate change today. And we need to work today for that design and strategy in building our cities in the future. Also, you talk about goal number 7, the strengthening and the mean of implementation for initiative. I will utilize the remaining time, if you allow me, Doctor, to just share my screen. I will share my screen, Doctor.
I will stop sharing.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I would like to share the slide for the poverty and the impacts of utilization of technology. And this is the paper of one of my conference. The green color in the graph, it will show you the population within 1,900 until 2015. The dark black color is the poverty trend. And as you can see in the history, especially in the middle, the first introduction of the personal computer in the world in 1971, and you can see still the poverty trend is going up. But once China and or introduce the implementation of market reform and plus the growth rate around 10%, where the China implement the one-child policy. But in addition to that, still the population are increasing. But in 1981, computerized banking, then 1986, the average 5%, the first World Web introduced, and then in 1996, the first internet-only banking is funded. 2007, iPhone release. This type of technology within the history, and you can see the trend of poverty is going down. This chart gives you the proven data of how utilization of technology and infrastructure directly impacting the poverty in our world. Thank you, Doctor, for your presentation. I would like also to thank Professor from Japan. Is she with us? Is she still with us? I cannot see. Yes. Hi.
Hi.
Thank you very much. If you would like to add anything after Doctor, we have like around 10 minutes more. Let's discuss about the goal with the United Nations and also what you have been talking about, Professor, about the smart city. What do you think, Professor?
Professor Sadif's the lecture is very important, and if we can use a Hyperloop, how to say the method, it's also good. But for example, the Hyperloop is for the long transportation, but usually the how to say the bicycle and walking or something, the very human, the very basic human needs and very not so long, short distance. The transportation will change or not? I want to ask. For example, in Cairo City, there is a historic Cairo City. It has a very intricate the Islamic culture made how to say the very intricate street patterns. But very basic one. My hope is to protect, to preserve the historic situation. If we lost, we cannot never create. So it's a very important point for me. But how do you think? The smart city, perhaps historic city also can be a smart city as a different method, I think. And also in Cairo, the government, how to say, to demolish the old area and to make a new huge road. It's not a good way. The huge street can escape the historic historic the core. This is my opinion.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. I would like to talk to you or asking this question for both of you. I didn't yesterday with Mr. Ibrahim Limtawa from Bahrain. He shade or put the shade light about the dashboard, about utilization of Internet of Things and how it is reducing the response time within the traffic, within the issues happening with the cities, and how emergent response utilization of Internet of Things. I would like to ask Dr. Sabih, what is the utilization of Internet of Things, especially for the sector you talk about it in the transportation? What do you think?
Okay, I mean, I put my heart as a public transport addict. When I go to London, I never use anything than public transport, and the reason why, because it's available, and therefore if we're going to implement any transport system, we have to make it inclusive. We have to make it accessible to everyone. And generally, if I have, and here in the region, I have my 4x4s, and if the journey takes me 50 minutes or 1 hour between Dubai and Abu Dhabi, but you're going to give me a public transport system which take 1.5 hours, I'm not going to use it. And therefore, if I'm going to provide a public transport system, it's not A to B. It's an experience from your home to your office. And we have to have a vision for first and last mile. How are we going to do this first and last mile? Is it walking? Is it cycling? Is it combined with Uber or something else? We have to have implement a strategy that take in consideration the need of the passenger. We can implement any technology you want. And if you forget about the end user, you have not implemented anything. And therefore, for policy setting people, you have to think how you're going to make this accessible to everyone. Everyone can use it. Plus, it's not going to be taking more than it's people jumping in their car and getting to the other part of their journey.
Thank you. Thank you. Professor, would you like to add anything about Internet of Things with the smart cities? Can you hear me, Professor?
For me?
Yeah. I'm asking if you would like to add anything about Internet of Things for the smart cities, because yesterday in the conference, during the same session title, we highlighted the utilization of Internet of Things. What do you think?
Internet?
Internet of Things.
Yes. For example, we have so many information, but Internet can preserve and to make a very the treasury or something. So that the Internet, if we use Internet quickly and also the very the smart way, we can gather the more information. For example, we have so many old photos, but not exactly the collecting. And also the local people has so many the knowledge. If we can to collect and to preserve and to use for the preservation is very nice for us.
Great. Dr. Sabih, I would like to highlight one of the attractive factor for capital investment within transportation, especially number of stations. You give us an example in London, how it is helping a lot the small businesses, the shops that's opening, stopping, buying things, traffic, number of population, of utilization of transportation in a very short time. This capital investment, do you think that can help also the small business and entrepreneur?
I travel to Hong Kong a lot, and for people who travel to Hong Kong, they will recognize that the public transport in Hong Kong one of the best. And the reason for that, because the operator have different business model. And by the way, Hong Kong transport system, the only system which not subsidized. But how it, how they manage to do it, basically they are a combination of transport operator and property developer. And what they do, they build TODs, transport oriented development, and they sell the land and they link the land. And people, when they have access to efficient, clean, fast transport, reliable transport system, they live there. And this generates cities, this generate communities, which make it easy for you if you need to be at certain time in your office, you know when you're going to leave the home. And if it's basically integrated, it's taking consideration first and last mile. I went so many times in Hong Kong, never late. You know when you reach the station, you know your train or your bus or your metro is there, or your tram. And therefore, it's the transport system in Hong Kong. We know Japan has the best transport system in the world, but I think as example of economic and business model, I think people should look at Hong Kong business model.
Great. You remind me about my visit in Tokyo, first time in my life during the university studies. I was amazed that the Tokyo station is counting per second. So I know when the station and the train is coming within which seconds, not which minutes, not which hour. And this is in 2003, 2000s, I believe, no, 2002, during the World Cup in between Japan and Korea. And it was really amazing city. I love living there and how it is smart within scheduling their train. Professor, I would like to utilize also the remaining few minutes for both of you about the AI, the intelligent, the artificial intelligence, about the smart cities and utilization of all equipment, all transportation, a huge amount of data that need to be managed and analyzed quickly, which give us a better result and actions with the Internet of Things. What do you think the implication for that, for transportation or any smart cities application? For both of you, the question for both of you.
I'm more than happy to start if it's okay.
Please.
Again, as I said, I used to work for Highway Agency and London Underground, and one thing we have is the inspection and maintenance of the system. And therefore, when you do inspection of the system, you have to go back into the records, extract. At the time, we had hard copies of previous inspection reports, and therefore, it's time consuming. Now with the AI, basically the AI can do this for you within a touch of a button. The same for future maintenance. Like we in the Hyperloop, we expect to use AI to monitor our system, the infrastructure, and also all the capsules and the tube will have sensors which give you instant access to the health of your system. If there is any problem with the system, and this is being implemented as we speak in different parts of the world. And therefore, AI is with us and it's being used everywhere. And therefore, I remember the day when we had people start using CAD. Everyone said that basically we're going to lose all the draftsmen. Now we need more CAD operator than any time before. And therefore, we have to use the AI to help us to be more efficient and use the technology for our interest.
Great insight, Doctor. How about you, Professor? We have a couple of minutes before we
also,
go.
AI is very important because of the huge amount of data. The AI can analyze it for a second or something. It's very important. And also, as I am outsider, so I cannot speak Arabic well, but the AI can translate or understand something. But perhaps to think the new stage or something, it's for human. It's human can do. And also we can use AI as a tool, but we have to, also the solve the problem. AI can help, but we have to solve. So it's very important, I think.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor. It was my honor to have you both in this roundtable. It is really informative presentation for both of you. I did recommend and put a note for all your recommendation in my notes. I will send it to the host, Dr. Hanadi, and she will publish it to all after the conference, of course. This is what I will do my homework. It is really my honor to have you. Thank you for both of you, Dr. Professors. And I can ask Dr. Hanadi if the next session is ready.